Greetings. My name is Jim Roberts, and I've been on the music faculty here at Elon this is going my 17th year. I'm in the Department of Music, and I'm the founder and director of the Elon World Percussion Ensemble. It is a pleasure to serve as your union president for Workers United, Southern Region, Local 32, an affiliate of SEIU. Also on this call, Susan Ladd. She is the vice president of the union, and she will be monitoring the chat. She's also your new, first time ever faculty liaison in the academic council. So first of all, just put in the chat the department that you're in, and if this is your first year ever teaching, just put 0, and if you have taught in other universities, just put the number of years, so I just know who I'm talking to and what experience that you might have. Great. Chemistry. 3 years must have been another university. Welcome. It's nice to see you. Creative writing. Great. And a fellow music person. Good to see you. So also, now that we have a little of that, put in the chat why you came to work at Elon specifically. What reasons led you to apply here? You love teaching. Yeah, so do I. That's a big one. Hey, you want a paycheck? Yeah, imagine that. You were hoping to be closer to your relatives. Good. Your wife got a job here, and so you needed to move with her. Great. And some of you may be trying to get a full-time position somewhere at some point. So we're going to talk a little bit about our union and our union job here, and how the union makes a difference, and it helps to make Elon a great place to work. So Susan has put in the chat a PDF, and this is your membership application. So go ahead and check that out, and you can start filling it out if you want. If you do fill it out, leave the COPE section. We don't have that here at Elon, but I will explain what that is later. So I learned about unions early in life, around 10 years old or so, in 1969. The union established itself at the phone company where my father worked. And my father was management. So at the time, he wasn't so thrilled about it. But as time went on, the years and years, and I could hear different stories and things that the union helped to bring about, I realized, and I know he would have to admit, that the union made their lives better for them. So I also grew up in that same town, and there were a lot of bullies. So I learned early the importance of being treated with respect and the devastating effects of inequality. So therefore, I've always had an interest in social justice and social movements and equality. I teach a winter term class called Woodstock, Hippies, and Other Enduring Legacy, the Music of the 60s and 70s. Wow, it's a fun class, but what it does is it pairs the social movements of those times with the musical movements and genres of those times, and the cause and effect of each other. It's fascinating when you think about it. Our union was voted in here in 2018, and I became involved in the union around that time because at that time the university decided they were going to try to delay our certification by not bargaining with us. So I became active. I stepped up to help give us a voice, a say in our employment here. So when our union came in, it was voted in with an overwhelming majority, 112 to 68. So even after the vote, some of the faculty that voted no signed up to be in the union because they knew that the union was their voice. So we had the support of the Academic Council, the AAUP, which is American Association of University Professors, in case you're new to academia, an active student group called Boldly Elon Solidarity Collective. They've all since graduated, but we had nothing to do with them. They just showed up and gave us support. And an alumni group also supported us as well. It was also given broad support by the full-time faculty. So every time I would discuss being an adjunct with full-time faculty, most of them would just kind of shake their head and acknowledge how challenging it was, because many of them remembered themselves that they had been an adjunct. And they remember the inappropriate compensation and the lack of benefits and the lack of the ability to make any changes. In short, the adjuncts didn't have a voice, and they weren't involved in the decisions that affected their lives. Well, that has now changed. We are one of the few adjunct faculties in the South. So we made a choice, and now we have a voice. And this choice is upheld by law. It's important for you to support this union because this is your voice. And it's also one of the great reasons to work here. Than what this voice gives you. So that's my story. So you might be asking yourself, what is a union? It's simply a group of people, 2 or more employees that come together for a common interest, such as wages, benefits, scheduling, and other employment terms and conditions. So joining together and acting collectively, workers that are represented by a union have a powerful voice, and that strengthens our ability to negotiate with our employers about our concerns. So our particular union is the Elon Faculty Union, Workers United, and it represents faculty. It represents faculty at Duke University, at the graduate students at Emory University. Also, the graduate students at Duke have recently voted in the last week or two, and that looks positive. They also, if you've ever worn those nice Brooks Brothers shirts, they're made down in Garland, North Carolina, not far from where I grew up, and they represent them as well. And most notably, you may have heard about Starbucks. The union is only as good as the people in it. If you have some dated impression of Jimmy Hoffa or gangsters or all that, let me tell you something. Times have really changed. We have more support right now for unions than at any time and since John F. Kennedy, his administration in the early 60s. I personally know the representatives of our union, and I bargained with them for our contract. They are some of the most caring, socially conscious people that I've ever met. And this is a modern, above-board union, and it tackles modern problems. So, as I said, we voted as an overwhelming majority in 2018. But why? Why did we go to all the trouble to form a union here? And the reason is simple. Many of us standing together are more important than any of us standing alone. Think about that for a minute. Why a union? Well, for the first time, Elon adjuncts have formal or legal power to make improvements in the system, in our workplace. And with leaders like yourself and me, we have negotiated with the administration. This union is not run by outsiders. You should know we control the union agenda. We control the conversation about our working conditions. And this has the ultimate goal of giving our students a better education through better working conditions. It's that simple. These improvements take form of what we call a contract, or CBA, which stands for Collective Bargaining Agreement. And you'll hear that a lot. I think Susan will put that in the chat for you so you can have a copy of that. Adjunct union members will ultimately discuss and vote on a contract every 3 years. It's important because it's our only legal authority to speak for ourselves. Even on the academic council, the only person that represents you is an adjunct faculty liaison. And that liaison is an executive union member. So if you have aspirations of working on the council, one of the things you can do is get involved in the union and become an officer. And you can do that. You can do that work. I was on the council for just finished 2 years, and it's eye-opening what it teaches you about school governance, our shared governance system. What did we get? What are some of the highlights from that contract? So first of all, straight up, a 4% raise. That was one of the things that came about right away. And then we also got a guarantee that the annual raises that will be equivalent to the full-time faculty. And this year, that raise was 4%. That means that your salary will reflect an 8% raise since the contract was negotiated and signed in September 2022. We also won a professional development fund for educational activities, conferences and workshops and those types of things. We've never had that. It's specifically for adjuncts. And you can request through your chair up to $700 and a pool of $11,000. So Susan will put that form. So if you have aspirations of attending a workshop, it will go to the chair and the dean. And you have to do this really through the chair and the people that have written the email is written on that form. But make sure your chair is involved in this because they're going to look out to make sure it goes up through the chain. Course cancellations. Now here's something that's important to you right now. If your course that they have signed you have signed a contract to teach a course, if that course is canceled now, that means one of two things. They're going to compensate you, or they are going to offer you similar work to make up for that. If they don't, then you'll receive 15% of your course canceled, and if they don't offer you anything else. This is amazing. We never had any kind of thing like this ever. We have access to technology, printers, those kinds of things. Anything that the school has pretty much for full-time faculty, we can access. And we can request a computer. It's not guaranteed we'll get one, but it's possible. But you have all library resources. That's guaranteed in our contract. Firings. And this could be important to you to know. The university, of course, has the right to hire and fire employees. It's called management rights. This is under a clause that basically says if you have longevity, or even if you don't, you may be able to contest a decision about your firing if you think that it's not appropriate. In the contract, there are 8 different points. Things like the class gets canceled, or they did away with the class altogether. There are different points that they use to legally fire you. But if you don't feel like they follow that, you can file a grievance. So, before the union, we didn't have any of this. And now we do. So, let's talk about the effects of this. There were a lot of changes here to the status quo of the way this university operated. And I get that. This is not a union state, even. And I have to be honest with you that some members of the administration didn't want you to have a union. And that's okay. Can you think of any reasons why they might not want you to have a union? Yeah, they don't want to be accountable for their actions. That's a pretty big one, yeah. Oh, they can increase your workload and require it of you, and it's not covered. Yeah, that could happen, particularly a weekend event or something that's not required. Okay, got it. So there are different reasons, but let me tell you, the main reason is that they don't want you to have a voice. They understand that there is power to have a voice, to have the voice that we have. This is the power to be in a community that joins forces and fights for everything that we have to fight for. They understand the power in that. And if someone comes to you and says, give yourself a raise, quit the union, do you really think they care about the money or about your well-being? No. Really, they don't want you to have a voice, because a voice can help bring change in the status quo. So you have to tell them that you're going to stick with your union and that you're going to support your union and thus keep your rights. So we talked about, just briefly, dues. I haven't mentioned that. But yes, it costs a little bit of money to be in the union. Here's the good news. There are no joining fees. When I joined the Nashville, Tennessee Musicians Union in the 90s, I paid over $300 just to join. So that was already a big part of a gig shot right there. And no one pays a cent in dues till the first full month of the semester. And then the dues are 1.5% of your monthly pay. So that's $1.50 for every $100. This is a really good deal for what we get out of it. We only pay for the months that we work in at Elon. We don't pay in the summer. And think about it. Why would any of us vote to approve a contract that the material gain didn't outweigh the union dues? You get a lot more by supporting the union than you for what you pay for this. So you should know that every union member votes on the contract, and it's bargained for once every 3 years. The first one was signed in September of 2022, and then it will end in May of 2025. So makes sense. It's easy. I mean, it might cost you, $25 a month or $20 a month for a course or something. That might be a lot of money to some people, but at the same time, you get a lot for it. So what are the responsibilities for having a strong union? So there are two things to remember. You have to fight for what you want, and you have to fight to keep it. You have to fight for what you want, and you have to fight to keep it. Now, the people that run this administration are good people. This is a good administration, and they're good at building and promoting Elon University. But they need our support and our voice so that our priorities are not forgotten in the big plan. There's only two things to do here, and they're very easy. One of them particularly, because right now Susan may put this back in. There's a scan, and I don't know if she's going to put a link either way. I hope she puts the link. But join. Just join right now. Get that out of the way. And you don't have to do anything after that point. But the second thing is I do encourage you to spend a little time and get involved. That we're going to create a member team to support each other in community. I want to see, and I do see, the community that we afford each other by having a union. If no one else will look after you, your fellow adjuncts will. So this is the beautiful thing about the union. The people I'm involved with here are beautiful people, and they're great teachers, and all walks of life, all kinds of disciplines too. So this is about your well-being, and my colleagues and I are in the executive committee, and we've been working on your behalf since 2018 to keep this voice alive. We don't get paid, and we can't do it by ourselves. So if you're the kind of person that's committed to social justice, equality, diversity, fair treatment, or you just like the idea of people helping, taking care of people, then we want you to get involved with us. Contact us. Send us your names, your email, and department. Susan's going to post our names and contact email. It might be already in the PDF. So get involved. It's the only way that we can assure that our union continues. So thank you for your time. So now we'll open up the floor to questions. And Susan, if you could unmute anyone that has a question, or you can, if you want, you can put it in the chat. But would love to hear your questions and thoughts. Hearing none, thank you. Workers United. We'll see you soon. Have a great semester. You now have an Elon address on your email. You're officially a member of our faculty. Welcome and thank you.